What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 19th day of September, and here we are taking a little spill after yesterday's high at $116.1 thousand, a little bit above there. 11 hours left in this day. We're down about 0.7% on the day so far at 116.1K. It's kind of funny because 116K a few days ago felt good, right? That was really good, especially from the lows of 107.3K. But now it's like, what are you doing? Why are we at 116K? We should be at new all-time highs. This isn't good enough for me. It's just kind of funny that mentality shift. Maybe it's not the whole market. Maybe it's just me that has that shift in mentality. But we seem like we're too good for 116K, guys. It is the 19th of September. We're going to look at the short-term stuff here. Okay, we're going to look at the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and stuff like that. But before we get in there, I just want to say, if we take this from an overall all-time high to the low of this range that we've had from the middle of August to the beginning of September, high to low, we have hit the golden ratio. It is very common when hitting the golden ratio to go to the 0.5 or 382 or somewhere in that area, which is at 115.5K to 113.5K. So being here at 116.2K essentially, it's very possible that we could go a little bit lower. What I will say on top of that is that we already spent a lot of time consolidating around the 0.5. It would make me think that we're not going down here, that we're not going to go lower than these lows, but I suppose the 0.5 in itself is a higher low relative to all this. We could be doing something here exactly like what we were doing here, what we were doing here, what we were doing here, just a kind of overall consolidation phase. As soon as you hit your high, that's whenever you shoot back down to the low end, but it's still a higher low, shoot back down to the low end, but it's still a higher low. I wouldn't think that we get a lower low, but even if we do, it's absurdly common and bullish to go down to the 382 and find support. So we could go as low as 113.5K and everything's fine. I don't think we're going to. I think the reality of this bull market is setting in for a lot of people, and they're hoping the price goes lower. And whenever people find themselves hoping the price goes lower, it remains rather tame, and we just slowly kind of inch higher until we're at a breaking point, and then boom, then we're off to the next area, which I think the next area would really be 120.5K to 122.4K, somewhere in that area there. Sorry. Looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, just to see if we validate that we're going lower or if we're finding support in this area. Let's look at the 1 hour. 1 hour RSI does look bearish, but to be fair, we're at the same areas that we found support recently throughout recent history. We've been finding support right at this area, just below, just above, whatever, right? Support right there, just above, just below, kind of in this area, right in this area here. Same thing, same thing, same thing. We're in that area where we like to find support. So I would say we're closer to an area to bounce rather than go lower. The stochastics do look bearish, I will say. I mean, with this, we could definitely go lower. But you can see that the stochastics typically don't stay oversold for too long, do they? They don't stay oversold for too long. We've had multiple interactions already. This little instance has been oversold for a pretty large amount of time relative to all these little instances here. So just a thought, we might be at an area to bounce there as well. And the MACD being right here at the zero, just below the zero, how many times have we bounced right here? Once, twice, 3 times down over here, right? This was a little bit deeper, but still, it happens. I'm not saying that it has to happen here. I'm just saying that it happens. We're at 116.2K, having a little bit of a struggle moving anywhere since the start of this video. It seems as though we're just stagnant, and that's fine. If we're looking at this from a relative low, come on now, low to high, it would make me think that, oh, that's not the right high. It would make me think that we go lower, down to the golden ratio, 116,000, 115.7 thousand, somewhere in that area. We don't have to, though. This is a pretty insignificant fib. Let's look at the 4 hour time frame, see if we can come up with anything else, okay? Looking at this on the 4 hour, from a low to a high. I mean, if we were to go lower, let's see, let's take this low to high real quick. You can see we bounced right at the 236 there. You see it, 236 bounce, low to high here, 236 bounce as well, right there. Maybe we go to the 236 at 115.3K, which would put us right in that 115.5 to 113.5K area, that overall fib. You guys remember from the high to low, that's the 0.5 to 382 area. We were doing this exact stuff on the way up back over here. back in April, May times, right? Every time that we moved up, let's just show you. Let's see. I don't know if this one does it, but let me just see. I think they all do it. Low to high. Look at that. You bounced right off your 236, right? I don't have the high on there perfectly, but bounced right off the 236, okay? We take this low to high. You bounced right off your 236. You bounced right above your 236, right there. We take this low to high. This one went a little bit lower. Okay, this one went to the 382, but you can see the significance at the 236 and still the higher lows overall. So Bitcoin was doing this, you know, whenever it was being very productive. We were having very similar kind of structure, I would say, as to what we're doing now. And if we look at the weekly time frame, you'll see we even have similar readings. I would say we have very similar structure. So go down to 115.3K. I guess that's the call for now. You could be at an area to bounce. I don't know if that is the call. Let's wait and see what the 4 hour looks like. Maybe I was too fast in saying that. The 4 hour, if I'm being honest, does look like it's taking a turn to the downside. Right? What makes me say that is this, right? We've got higher lows, higher highs here. You've clearly broken out of your trend. It looks like you're starting a downtrend. Typically, these downtrends don't end until you hit the oversold zone. If we were to hit the oversold zone like that, that could be Monday. It could be Monday if we're following this trajectory more or less. Monday, and I'm not drawing it the best, but you can just see roughly. Monday next week, we could be at the low points, which would imply that next week opens up to the downside. And if you've been following this channel, you know that I like it whenever a week opens up to the downside because that typically means that we're going to close it green. You go back in time, you look at all the weekly green candles that Bitcoin's had, most of them have wicks, which means that they have wicks to the downside, which means that they opened up to the downside. So it's like a superstition, right? It's not a requirement. It doesn't work like that. Don't treat it like that. Just because you move down in the beginning of a week does not mean you have to move up by the end of it, but it's like a superstition. Lower lows in the RSI on the 4 hour time frame here. Higher lows in the price. That is hidden bullish divergence. I stick with it. I stand by it. I don't think we go below this low, but I think we could go a little bit lower. Let's do it. Let's call it. Stochastics look like they want to go lower, but you are at an area where you like to bounce. You bounced before. In all fairness, you're at an area where you've bounced before on the RSI as well, like really throughout this whole range, right? It's a little bit of a slightly higher low compared to most of them, but it's still in this area that you like to bounce. I mean, you definitely are at a point to turn things around, so be prepared for that as well. When I say turn things around, I mean back to the upside. 4 hour MACD could come lower, you know, come down to the zero, find support there. And again, the amount of time that would take, it'd probably be by like Sunday, Monday, and by the beginning of the week next week, we'd be at the low points moving down, and then we start to move back up going into the later parts of next week. Just because we move up from here, about 116.2K now, just because we move up from here does not mean that we're saved and that we're absolved of going lower. I would say if we can get a 4 hour candle to close above about 117.2K, yeah, 117.2K. If we can close a 4 hour candle above there or a daily candle above there, at that point it's time to flip bullish, okay? So momentarily bearish, oh so momentarily bearish to here, and then up, right? That's the expectation. And when we go up, we're going to 120 to 122K. If I'm wrong, which never happens, but if this is the first time in the history of humanity that I've ever been wrong, oh, ask my wife, she'll back me up, then it is possible that we turn around right here because there are signals on the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frame. There are signals that we're at the same areas that we've bounced from before while moving up all these times. So we really could bounce right here. And if this is the low, if this is the higher low right here, which I don't think it is, but if it is, then get above 117.2K. Do that on a 4 hour time frame, closing basis, not just wicking. Don't make a move up here, wick, and then reject down. That doesn't count. If you close above there, and ideally 2 candles in a row, but closing above there on a 4 hour or a daily time frame especially would make me think, okay, well that's the low, and we're moving up higher. We were wrong for this, but we're not going to be wrong for this, right? The rest of it still goes to about 121 to 122K. 120.8K, I think, at the minimum. Let's look at the liquidation levels real quick over the past day. Man, people are so quick to short this thing. The longs got shaken out hard. There were $4 billion in longs yesterday. Now there's 1.7. It's about the same level of shorts, to be completely fair. More shorts haven't gotten piled on. The same degens who are shorting the top are shorting now, so they just caught a break. They're definitely not closing their shorts. They got money to make back. 7.3 billion, 8.5 billion over the last 7 days, and then over the last 30 days, of course, there are more longs. So going down, I just don't think that we're going to move down any significant amount to take out all these longs here. Like, I personally don't believe that we drop below 114K at this point, but it could happen. And again, if it does, 113.5K would be an area to find support. So keep that in mind as well. In case I'm wrong, not in the sense that it moves up rather than moving down first and then moving up. If I'm wrong in the sense that it moves lower than what I'm expecting, keep in mind 113.5K provides solid support as a Fibonacci retracement, and it provides solid support as a prior area of resistance right here. Okay, so it just makes sense. It makes sense that we could go down there. Doesn't mean we will. I'm calling for 115.2K in reference to the 236, the overall underlying 236 from this low, that wasn't the low, to the high. Come on now. Yeah, right there, 115.3K. And if we wick below it a little bit, that's fine. But something higher than this low. And when I say a little bit, like, it has to be very insignificant amounts below it. I don't want to wick like $500 below it. Let's not do that. Daily time frame, looking at this, things are going to start to shapen up a little bit more to the bullish effect. I think it's clear that we're breaking out of this range. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's very clear that that's what we're doing. Had a very nice V-shaped recovery. Can you see it? Right? V-shaped. It's very V-shaped. If it is a V-shaped recovery in its true nature, V-shaped recoveries don't stop until they go back to where they started. Typically, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, V-shaped recoveries, where they started, that's where you go to, but you actually go a little bit above there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got to new all-time highs, we consolidated a little bit, and then we continue to rally, right? Something like that could happen. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if as soon as we got to new, just like this, right? We got to new all-time, even dating back here. As soon as we got to a new all-time high, boom, that's when we went down. So, right over here, we got to a new all-time high. We continued to rally. That's nice. But then here, once we got to a new all-time high, we went down. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the same kind of thing, except this time we just consolidate and then we move up. It'll be a tight consolidation, something similar to like what we're doing here on the way to higher prices, ultimately to like $170,000 to $180,000. That's the expectation. Looking at the daily RSI, we're finding resistance in the same area we found resistance before. We have lower lows in the RSI with higher lows in the price, so that's nice, I suppose. It's hidden bullish divergence. It's not a bad thing. Stochastics are still overbought, which is nice. You're at an area where you'd expect to find support, but you can come down a little bit. They can come out. You know, the blue line can come out a little bit more. The orange line can even come out. But as long as you're hanging out in this area, I think that you're fine. And the MACD crossing above the zero is nice. I don't like that we've died off in bullish momentum building, but that's okay. A little bit of bearish divergence there, but we've already seen the moves down for that. So I'm really not worried about the price at all. I think overall on the daily time frame, you look like you're in good standings. Just it wouldn't be crazy if you chilled a little bit, right? Have a boring weekend, right? As you, I know that never happens, but have a boring weekend, and then next week you open up doing good things. Maybe you open up to the downside, and then you finish strong. Um, Bouncing off the 50 here on the weekly time frame, you look very, very dramatic. You look very dramatic to the bullish effect, right? Bullish as hell. If we're looking at the stochastics, also bouncing off the 50, beautiful, beautiful. And the MACD is bullish as well, right? Yes, you're crossed to the downside, but I think we're about to do something very bullish. You know, the MACD is the one thing that could suggest that we consolidate for multiple months. But I think that, and I did theorize this back whenever it did cross, that even though every red cross has implied multiple months of consolidation before, throughout this whole cycle, I think this one is going to be a false. I think this is going to be the first false signal where we don't consolidate for multiple months. We actually come up. But time will tell. I mean, at this point, depending on how you want to define it, maybe we have been consolidating already since May. It's very possible that you could see it that way. But I would say at least since the beginning of July, so we've already been consolidating for multiple months in that sense, but not since the cross on the MACD. Multiple months after the MACD cross is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. We look very, very bullish on all fronts. The only thing that gives us a little bit of a hiccup is the MACD. Okay. I very much believe we have dramatically higher prices to go. If we take the last cycle high to the bear market low, and we look at where we are in these fibs, you know, I don't think that we're going to break out and just stop at the 1414. Maybe we stop there momentarily and consolidate right just above the high there. But I think ultimately we're going to this 173.8K level. and this area is typically where Bitcoin likes to wick above, right? The golden ratio, you typically do like to wick above it. So I think it's completely acceptable that 180K is a target that we have in mind, if not 173.4K. I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.